Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be bringing you my review for One Piece, chapter 1149. Chapter title, 1 second. So I remember when this got leaked and everyone was like getting really worried. They were like, "Oh, we're getting a cover of everyone, all the girls in like maid outfits, including Bonnie." And everyone's like, "Oh, Oda, what are you doing?" But thankfully, the maid outfits are quite tasteful. Bonnie's actually in her child form here, and just wearing a kid's like maid outfit. You still got like Usopp. He's getting. I thought he was like staring at like Lilith and being like, "Oh my god, she's so hot." No, he's looking at the bill. And she's like, "Ha, you've got to pay all this." All right, fair enough. And obviously Sanji's the one getting super excited. But I love these cool little One Piece covers. Is there anything else that stands out? There's a cat that's also getting shocked at the bill. Who's the cat? I mean, sorry, I've got to read this. Who's the cat? There is no writing. I don't know who the cat is. Also, what does it say on that thing Bonnie's carrying? It says R.I.P. and then it's cut off by her arm. Is that rest in peace, or is that like R.I.P. and then it's like dash, so it's continuing on? It's very confusing. But okay, cool little cover image. So, as we know, we really only had two destinations. We could have started off at either the underworld with Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, or the kind of current ongoing battle with the rest of the Straw Hats and, Gunko and Summers. And we're going with the battle in the overworld with Gaban showing up. And as we know from the last chapter, he cut off Killingham's arm, hand, whatever, and also slammed him in the chest. So we're continuing with that. He has caused Killingham great pain, and the Straw Hats are in shock. Obviously, comic reaction by Usopp as always. And I guess, this is their first time meeting Gaban. So, the only ones who met Gaban were the ones in the underworld, right? So he got there pretty fast. And as we see at the bottom here, Summers in a lot of pain, and Gaban just saying he's rusty. So he's well above the Holy Knights. That's all we can say. So Gaban whirls his axes, and Summers, not down for the count yet, reacts with his stupidly named attack, Faunulation, and that the axe and the fawns clash. Not sure what the output is. I think at the bottom here, Summers is losing, and he wants to know what Gaban's doing in Elbaf. So Gaban is not interested in answering Summers' question, but we see Usopp popping up here saying, "What? You met him at the castle?" And we see in the middle it's Nami, who I forgot was in the castle with everyone else when this was all revealed, is now relaying information about Gaban to the others about how he gave Luffy and Zoro a bit of a struggle, and he's the father of Colin. It's interesting. I've seen him spelled Colin, colon. I don't know. I'm going to say Colin just because that's how they've spelled it here. And how Gaban is the counterpart to Rayleigh. So, I know there's been massive debate on whether Gaban is as strong as Rayleigh or stronger or whatever. Let people have that debate. I'm just going to call them equals just because that's how they're getting presented here. And then at the bottom, I thought Chopper looked weird when I looked at this. I said, is his snout a bit bigger? And then you got Robin, who's like saying that, she may be ensnared, but she can still help from a distance. But Jinbei stops her, saying that, his fawns are made of iron. Your hand-to-hand attacks aren't going to do anything, unfortunately. So, judging by the expression here, Sommers is looking a bit desperate, but we get a couple of named attacks from him. Fawn Hunt and Crimson Lotus Hell. Fawn Hunt seemingly being where he propels like threads of fawn, these iron fawns towards him in the sky, while erupting fawns from the ground, is essentially giving him nowhere to step and having to deal with attacks incoming. And we see at the bottom, Gaban says that he's in a hurry, and he starts cutting the fawns. And while Summers seems to goad Gaban, he just cuts Summers the fuck in half, or at least cuts off the top half of his body. And I don't know if he's dead. Like, I know the Holy Knights are really bloody weird with their regeneration and survivability, but that is him probably done. And as we see in the bottom, as Gaban is about to land on the still existing fawn spikes, I couldn't tell exactly what was going on in this very last panel. I think he's like, it's showing him spinning and using momentum to kind of zoom over the spikes so he doesn't land on them, because there's like two Gabans here. In keeping with what Gaban was saying earlier, he does not have time to waste. He rushes off to save Colin. And we've got Nami and Usopp doing classic One Piece shot expressions. You know, you got Jinbei there as well, but he's not making the crazy pop-out eyes. And, well, Usopp's going the full 9 yards with his tongue sticking out and everything. So, yeah, not sure what's going on with this first panel in the middle. He beat him, stab, stab, stab. I don't know if they're finishing the job or something. But anyway, as I saw earlier, Chopper's snout was indeed extending. He is in walk point, and at the bottom we see here, he immediately rushes off after Gaban, because he's correctly deduced that Gaban knows how to beat these, well, it doesn't take a genius to know that Gaban knows how to beat these immortals, but unless he shares that secret, he will be the only one who knows how to do it, potentially. So we're going back to the Walrus School now. The children are asleep, probably via Killingham's power, and he congratulates them for essentially burning down the school. Angie's obviously in tears because she loves the school, she's a teacher there. And Killingham at the bottom says that he will take care of the other building and pulls out a fire arrow, a bow with a fire arrow, saying he'll take care of it. And Angie just weakly says no, but there's nothing she can do. His arrow hits its mark, and the library is also now ablaze, much to Killingham's amusement and Robin's distress. She is in tears seeing it burn from a distance. The giants of Elbaf don't blame Chief Jarul for making this decision, but he too is also in tears. Upon confirmation that the buildings are burning, Gunko calls back Ronja, but we see that she is not happy in the slightest. She is crying, and she tries to apologize. And very sadly, she's apologizing for still being alive. The school and the library are now burning so that she could live. The other giants and the children say not to blame herself, but she can't help it. It's a heavy burden to bear. Sorry for the weird lighting change. It was getting a bit dark, so I had to turn on my light on. Just then, someone arrives and starts talking to Gunko, saying culture, history, children, troops. And then we see who it is. Scopper Gaban has arrived on the scene. You don't have the right to take any of these things away. And Gunko recognizes him as a crew member of the Pirate King, Goldie Roger. And she bluntly states that his resistance would mean the death, the hostages, the children. And at the bottom here, they all recognize him, of course, as Mr. Yar, as they know him. And they let Colin know that he is there. This obviously distresses Gaban, because if he speaks up and you know, reveals their familial link, that it might be used against them. So in his head, he hopes that Colin will not give this information away. Unfortunately, this is exactly what Colin does. He gets excited and yells for his father, that he's come to save them all, which Gunko acknowledges. And Gaban, despite immediately trying to jump into action now that that secret is out, we can already see that an arrow is heading straight towards Colin. And guys, this might be where I have to leave the Gunko fan club, because unfortunately these next sequence of events are really horrible, even for a holy knight, a world noble, whatever titles she holds. She's horrible. She's absolutely atrocious, unfortunately. I don't think she can be fixed. So she immediately leaps in and holds her spear blade thing to Colin's neck. And this leaves Gaban having to ponder what he can do. He thinks if he acts in an instant, he can save the children, put out the fires, and save Elbath. So he implores Colin to stay strong and hold tight. Colin tries to act brave, but he is obviously in distress right now. And Gunko warns Gaban that a life once lost will never return. Gaban at this moment flashes back to Colin's birth and how it made him happy. These words are actually really, really cool of him, you know. What a gift you've given me, Ripley, my lifelong treasure. For a man who's seen the One Piece, that's quite a statement. And at the bottom we see here, Ripley urges Colin to be safe, but the blade has slightly pierced his neck now, causing him to bleed. And Gaban leaps into action before things spiral out of control. And this is why I said I'm probably leaving the Gunko fan club, because at this moment Gaban activates Future Sight Haki and sees that Gunko will carry through her threat and pierce Colin's neck, killing him. So Gaban, just like he did against Luffy and Zoro, throws down his axes and surrenders. But Gunko, being a horrible world noble, attacks the now defenseless Gaban. She sends 3 arrows into Gaban, sending him off the edge of the arrow that was hanging over the cliff edge, and he is sent plummeting into the underworld, just as Chopper shows up, and much to Colin's distress. So that might be it for Gaban, but I can only hope that plunging into the underworld, where Luffy, Zoro and Sanji right now are, and Loki, he might still be rescued, but we won't know for now. The children scream for Mr. Yar, Colin screaming for Daddy. And this scream from Colin seems to trigger something in Gunko. She has a memory of a woman screaming out for her father. It might be Gunko herself, it's not very clear. Looks like her though. And it also triggers a memory of her meeting Brook in the past. And it says it's his dream to be a pirate. So that would be before he even became a pirate, while he was still alive. And we know that was, what, like 60 years ago or whatever it was? But, you know, she's been around for ages. And I know the Holy Knights have some immortality or whatever, so she's been Holy Knight for a long time, I guess. But she's obviously older than she looks. And just as that memory is triggered, Gunko appears to recognize Brook, and Brook himself also seems to recognize Gunko, I assume, by this speech here. The resemblance is uncanny. Oh, pardon me. And then she runs towards Brook, but just as she does, something seems to overcome her. Her voice changes, and Killingham recognizes it as the voice of Imu. Imu has possessed Gunko. And she's relayed, or he's relayed, I don't know, Imu's genderless at the moment. At this moment, the Holy Land is a sea of fire. Fantastic, by the way. at least we're getting some good news this chapter. Also, furthest right panel in the middle here. Killingham is alive. Sorry, Killingham. Somers is alive. He's saying ow because he's landed in his own spikes and impaled himself. He's alive. He's been cut in half and he's alive. What is with these guys? But anyway, Imu calls for greater numbers, and the last panel is cold. Allow me to show you the dominance of God. And God, look, Gunko looks amazing being possessed by Imu. Look at the eyes. They're now Imu eyes, and her hair, it looked shorter before. I don't know if it's grown based on its possession or it was just a lot neater, but it's now flowing out and there's just this aura coming out of her. Black lightning just crackling. And thank goodness there's no break this week because, there's no break. So we're going to get the next chapter next week, and is Imu about to flex? I have no idea. I'm really looking forward to it. And I don't know if Gunko restoring her memories might mean she's got some redemption in her. So maybe I should keep the fan club member card for a bit longer. But until the next chapter, thanks you all for watching again, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.